What's up, everyone? It's Kadi with Money Investing. So, welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. If you guys can see me without any issues and hear me without any issues either, so just let me know in the live chat if everything is working accordingly and there are no technical difficulties, and we'll get this started. So the market's coming down pretty hard right now. We got the Nasdaq down about 92 basis points, almost 1%. We got the S&P down over 1%, and the Dow Jones really coming down over 1.44%. The VIX is on the spike here once again, up over 17%, trading past over 21.5 levels. I updated all of our Discord members with the VIX levels because this is something that we have talked about over the last few days to I want to say a couple weeks now, right? We've been talking about the breadth behind the markets. We've been talking about the overbought levels. We've been talking about the support levels for the VIX. I mean, I literally put out a video going over exactly where we're going to be buying when the VIX hits, right? This is exactly where we basically talked about if the VIX gets up to as 29-30 levels, we're going to be a buyer. But first of all, before we jump in, thank you so much for joining in. We've got just about 180 people joined in, so if you guys don't mind smashing that like button, really helps out the channel, pushes this out to other people as well. So thank you so much for joining in from all around the world, wherever you guys are watching from. So I really appreciate you guys. So crypto is also coming down. Bitcoin just hovering over $30,000 with Ethereum just over 1,800, and we're coming back down to retest some of our support levels for cryptos as well. So Tesla at 629, yeah, Tesla at 629. I mean, we're breaking down below that 200 SMA. I put out a video yesterday, I believe at night. It was in the morning for me, but at night for you guys, for everybody on the East Coast, for both Tesla and NIO, and how they were on a testing point, right? They were going to be testing some of the 200 SMAs. I mentioned that the probability somewhat is skewed to the downside. Unfortunately, we're going to see a little bit of a breakdown for the markets here. So again, talking about the Nasdaq here, and we were expecting some type of a pullback considering the MACD signaled some bearish sentiment here, the RSI coming down from an overbought level. So we are seeing a little bit of a pullback here. Another thing I want to mention is that I was actually reading this report which basically goes over this very statement, right? So you'll notice that the market appears ready to take on more of a defensive character as we experience a meaningful deceleration in earnings and economic growth. This actually came out today, if I'm not mistaken. So this actually updated 32 minutes ago. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar to you? Did anybody mention that in the past, that the market appears ready to take on a more defensive character? Because one of the sectors, if you guys have been watching the market updates, one of the sectors that actually been doing really well. What sector is that? What sector do you guys think has actually been doing well over the last, I want to say a couple weeks, when the markets have actually been pulling back? Not a couple weeks, I should say the past week, since Monday of last week. It's actually been coming down, and one sector has actually been doing well. And I mentioned this in our market updates. So Jay is absolutely right. Utilities. So it's not healthcare, it's not banking, it's not tech, it's utilities. Utilities have actually been doing really well. And if you take a look at Nextera Energy and some of the other utility companies, they've actually been doing really well since the markets have been coming down. And we literally covered this in our market update, where I mentioned that there is some type of a rotation happening right now away from risk on to a more risk off environment, where people or investors in general are basically pulling money out of the big tech stocks that have been hitting new all-time highs and basically putting it into utilities. So this only happens in a defensive economy, an economy that is expected to grow at a much slower rate, or any signs of deceleration. And that's when the economy gets more defensive, or investors get more defensive. When we are growing at an aggressive rate, when we're expected to grow higher than the previously anticipated number, when everything's going well, when everyone's doing well, then the economy and investors become more risk on, and we become more aggressive with our money. But this is an environment where people are getting more defensive, right? We're going risk off. So basically, furthermore, Morgan Stanley's chief U.S. equity strategist basically mentioned that market breadth has been deteriorating for the months and is just another confirmation of the mid-cycle transition. In our view, it usually ends with a material 10 to 20% index level correction, which is which is very normal, right? This is something I've been talking about for, I want to say for a pretty long time. I mean, into this entire rally higher, what we've been doing is raising cash, raising more buying power, and I mentioned that, you know, it's completely up to you, and I highly encourage people to, you know, rethink their portfolios and start thinking of different ways to either rebalance, trim their positions, or basically hedge their portfolio in a way that you can actually benefit on the downside as well. But there is something coming just based on the overbought levels that we were seeing from the RSI, the MACD, and just the breadth behind the markets in general, right? The volume also kind of slows down in the summer months because there's a lot of choppiness. Trading activity falls a little bit, so it's a very normal, it's part of the market, and this is exactly what we talked about. You know, we were getting a lot of as a community, and when we were doing these live streams, I remember a lot of heat that was coming our way when there was 12% pullback here from the Nasdaq, right? We saw same thing happen here when we saw another 8.5% correction from the markets over here. So why is this going to be any different, right? If we do see another pullback, maybe down to 14,200, that's the first support level, all the way down to 13,600. That is only going to represent some buying opportunities. So Jason, yes, that is the two support levels I'm going to be watching: 14,200 for today, and all the way as low as 13,600. Those are going to be two levels to watch. 13,000, I don't know if we're going to actually get down to that low. That's the 200 SMA. If we do, that is perhaps going to be the strongest level to watch. I mean, I would be buying stocks left and right if we come down to this 200 SMA at 13,000 levels. So that is going to be the strongest area of demand. I see us more retesting 14,200, maybe down to 13,600. That's about as low as I could personally see the Nasdaq come down to, and that's going to be a decent sized correction of just over 8% for the Nasdaq. So Cody says got 60% in cash though, thankfully. That's great. That's awesome. Congratulations. So you're going to be able to get a lot of deals on a lot of discounts, right? Like I know that a lot of stocks are coming down. We're going to go over that in just a second. But for some reason, the S&P and the Nasdaq, the S&P and the Dow Jones are coming down more than the Nasdaq index, right? So you'll notice that the S&P right now, as of the time of this video, the S&P is down over 1.24%. So actually more than the Nasdaq, and the Dow Jones is actually down over 1.5%. So, you know, 60 basis points more than the Nasdaq. So these two indices are coming down more than the Nasdaq. So, and that makes sense because the S&P, in fact, has actually not corrected itself since I want to say like September 2020, right around the election time, when we basically dropped over 10% a couple times, formed kind of like this horizontal pattern, double bottom, double tops, 8.5%, 9%. Before seeing that rally once again. So even when the Nasdaq corrected, like in the beginning of this year, like March and May, the S&P didn't quite correct itself, right? So we actually only came down about 3.964% before continuing on this rally. But I will mention that we were pushing higher on weaker and weaker breadth, right? So there was the RSI dropping off, the volume was getting also faded away. So wouldn't be surprising to me if we actually come down to lows of 4,000 for the S&P. I also want to address a key risk which I feel like has resurfaced the community, like of investing community in general, and that's the Buffett indicator. I feel like a lot of people, I see a lot of people talking about that once again. So I'm going to address that in just a second, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a 4,000 retest for the S&P moving forward. The 50 EMA is very important to watch because 50 exponential moving average, we kind of validated that level for a really long time, and this was kind of like the uptrend for the S&P, right? It's just been bouncing off that level here once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. We're just like right there, and if you come down, the expectation for the markets would be to retest and validate that 50 EMA. But if for any reason we break down, then this right here, 4,059, closer to 4,000 points, is going to be the level to watch for the S&P 500. Talking about the Dow Jones here very quickly. So again, there was a really strong resistance from the Dow that's going to be sitting roughly over here, so at close to 35,096, 35,100, and we actually did see a breakout over from this lower high and lower low pattern. So the next support to watch is going to be these moving averages, so sitting perfectly at close to 34,290. So that right there is going to be the first level to watch. All right, let's take a look at these live chat here. So is this panic selling? I'm not sure. I don't think it's panic selling. I think it's more of a rotation that we're seeing away from risk-on environment like big tech and growth stocks, and this is something that we were expecting. Like, it was coming. We were talking about it. So I don't think it's like anything out of the ordinary, and we kind of work in these cycles all along, right? Just take a look at the S&P. I mean, you can already pinpoint the cycles that we've had, right? Where it's very periodical, right? We've seen this happen like time and time again. So I don't see why this time would be any different, right? Same thing can be said about the Nasdaq, right? So we actually were rallying higher. We had a drop here, we push up, we drop here, we push up, we drop here. So that's just the nature of the markets. We push higher, we see a little bit of profit taking, we see a rotation, we pull back, come down to more of a reasonable valuation, because right now there's a significant argument that can be made that valuations are out of hand, especially for tech and growth companies, which is why we haven't really been buying any stocks. I mean, I personally haven't really been buying anything, just been raising more capital to basically be a buyer on the dips that we see in the future. All right, so let's take a quick look on some of the individual stocks here, because I know that that's what everybody's going to be watching for. So quick update on DIA, down about 1.49, the S&P is down about 1.2, and the Nasdaq is down about almost 1%. Quick take a look at Tesla. So Tesla down about 2.35%, breaking down below that 200 simple moving average, sitting at 637. So we're already seeing a little bit of a breakdown here. Now, what do you guys think? Is this going to be more of a buy the dip opportunity like we've seen in the past, where markets basically gap down and the buyers step in to push us back and we end up with a green day? Or if you're going to see some more continuation from these moves, right? Because usually what's happened in the past is when we see a significant gap down, the buyers have stepped in, and that's, in hindsight, has been the best buying opportunity. Like, a simple example can be Palantir. I remember this right here, the day, May 11th. If you go back, May 11th, May 12th, has been or was one of the worst starts to the day pre-market. But the buyers really stepped in. It was a huge gap down. The buyers stepped in. We pushed up really, really incredibly well. And then this was the start of a new uptrend. So red days for a few more days. More continuation. VIX is high today. Yep, so the VIX is high. We've talked about this in the past as well. And we're a buyer over here at 2930 levels. Previous resistance, previous resistance, previous resistance. It's literally tested that level several times. So if you do get another spike from the VIX, another 34-35%, which is not which is very normal for the VIX to do and not unreasonable for us to think about that we could see those levels, then we would definitely be buying more stocks. VXN, Jason, yes, I forgot about that, so let's take a quick look. VXN is kind of delayed right now for me. I don't know why it's not updating, but I'm sure it's up like, I want to say like at least 10% pre-market. Actually, this should be open right now, but I don't know why the data is delayed for this. So considering that the VIX is up 17%, I'm assuming that the VXN is also going to be up like at least, let me see if I can find it on Google. VXN. So all right, so we're up 4.7%. It's actually no, that's the level from Friday. So it actually doesn't show right now. So I'll keep a close eye on this, but I'm assuming it's up like at least 10%, considering that the VIX is up 19%. So 10% from current levels is going to put us right around 23.25 levels. So 23.25. And the level I'm watching for the VXN is going to be roughly 25.5 as an area of resistance, previous support. Not that VIX and VXN actually do trade off of support resistance, but those are levels to watch very closely. But 25 all the way as high as this level right here, then we're going to be watching at 32. So those right there are going to be some important levels to keep in mind for the VXN as well. Alright, so let's take a look at Tesla first, and then we'll jump back over to Apple, we'll jump over to Amazon, we'll jump over to a lot of different stocks moving forward. So, alright, so getting a breakdown below the 200 SMA. If we see some more selling pressure continue, and in my opinion, I personally don't think that we're going to see the buyers step in just yet, only because the market is just starting to turn a little bit more bearish from a broader level. So on the daily chart, like I said, would not be surprising to me if the Nasdaq corrects down to 14,200. Maybe down to 14,000 or 13.6, and the S&P also comes down to 4,000 points. If that happens on a more broader level, individual stocks are going to continue to slide regardless of what's going on, right? Regardless of how well they're doing on an individual company basis. So that's where the price arbitrage comes in, right? You want to find opportunities. You want to find stocks that are getting caught up in this broader market sell-off, regardless of how the company fundamentals are doing. Because over the long term, what really matters is fundamentals and valuations. In the short term, there can be a million things that can actually drive the stock price, right? There can be hundreds of different things that actually move the stock price. But over the long term, you really want to focus on something that's actually fundamental and valuation-wise really strong for the company. So $590 is the next support, all the way as low as $540 for Tesla, as we kind of continue to trade inside this descending triangle. So you'll notice that we actually pushed higher, we sold off. This right here was kind of like a higher high, higher low pattern. Also can be seen some type of a bear flag. Then we saw another breakdown down to 540, higher highs and higher lows, and right now we're seeing another potential breakdown even further. So I don't want to say it's confirmed yet, but a potential pullback below this ascending sort of like a higher high and higher low uptrending channel. And if you do see some more persistent weakness, 590 all the way as low as 540 levels is going to be the level to watch. But eventually you guys know that I'm expecting a breakout over $700 per share to trade back up to over $800, $900, even as high as $1,000 per share. All right, so that's Tesla. So 25.5 equals, yeah, so for the VXN, if you come down to 13,600, it's kind of hard. It's not a perfect correlation, Jason, so it's not a perfect answer that I can tell you, like the VIX, you know, like for example, the VIX is up over 18%, so the SPY is actually down only 1.25, so it's not a perfect correlation between the two. So it's kind of a hard calculation just based on mental math to actually tell you exactly where the Nasdaq's going to land if the VXN trades as high as like a certain level. But just in general, I mean, my ideology has always been if the VXN and the VIX spikes to these extreme levels, that's where we want to be a buyer, because when the VIX consolidates and then pulls back drastically down about 43%, in this case the VXN drops 43%, what happens is the Nasdaq rallies, right? So we want to really, I mean, this can be seen as a great indication, and you'll notice eventually it always settles down. Sometimes obviously it surges past. I mean, this is the pandemic here, 351% jump. Nobody could have predicted this one, but well, very few people could have predicted this one, but even with the VXN right now, I don't personally see like a 400-300% jump, maybe even up to as high as like 32. That's going to be a 45% jump here, and that's where we want to position ourselves as a buyer once again, because that's what's going to drive the Nasdaq higher once the VXN settles down and comes back down. So it's not a perfect correlation. Not sure what the math is on that, but I'll watch the 25 as high as 32 levels, and keeping a close eye on the Nasdaq support levels as well. All right, let's talk about Apple here. So Apple coming down about 1.76%, really strongly here. And again, we updated everybody over at our Discord last week. If you wanted to trim your positions at Apple, 150 was a level. Amazon close to 3,700 was a level as well. As these big tech stocks have really taken off recently. I mean, Apple was up over 22% in the last like 4 weeks. You know, testing almost $150. That's the all-time high. In no time, we basically dropped below 145. Again, right? So this is a drop of just about 3.84% in just a matter of 3 days. This has took us 3 days to come down, right? Over 4%. So again, staircases up, elevators down. That's the nature of stocks. They're not going to tell us exactly when they're going to drop, but when they do, it's always aggressive, it's always fast, it's always quick for us to react to it. So we want to be careful when the RSI, the MACD are pointing to an overbought levels, when we're hitting resistance levels. We want to be careful that this can happen, you know, any day now. Same thing happened with Nvidia, right? Let's take a quick look at Nvidia. We're going to circle back to Apple in just a second. We're just trading above 50 EMA, but Nvidia also had a pretty drastic, steep drop of 14.5, almost 15%. We're trading just over 700. I mean, just think about it. 4 days ago, this stock was over $800 per share, and we're now down to 700. That's over a $100 drop, over $120 drop in just a matter of 4 to 5 days, right? I mean, that's how Nvidia has been really aggressive. I mean, it's got a really high beta, so it trades very aggressively relative to the markets. But going back over to Apple, we're going to be looking at $130 support here. That's going to be the level to watch. 145 is unfortunately now going to start acting as a new resistance. So we're going to go ahead and turn this level into a resistance for Apple stock. 138 is going to be a new support for Apple. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching that very closely. And again, they're for most companies, most stocks, you'll notice that we're leaving gaps here. So on the daily chart, I don't know how clear that is, but if you guys look at the dotted line here, that's the closing price on Friday. This right here is the opening price pre-market. So that's the yellow dotted line. Can you guys see that? Pre-market here, it says 143.75, and Apple 146.39 is the Friday's close. But the difference between these two is the gap that we're leaving pre-market because we're gapping down. So, so right now, with these gaps that we leave, similar to what we have seen in the past, usually what we have seen is the buyers kind of step in and fill this gap, right? So we basically open here and then we push up as the buyers step in and go back up to 146, 147. It's gonna be really interesting to see if that actually happens today, or if we continue on this selling pressure or this momentum to the downside, right? That's gonna be the real question moving forward as the markets open in about 10 minutes. So let's take a quick look at NEO. So NEO down about 4.5%, no surprises there. You know, breaking down below the 200 SMA, breaking down below the $43 level. Next stop is going to be at 38.50. Unfortunately, again, you know, we talked about it in our yesterday's video, and I mentioned that unfortunately, looking at the charts objectively, this is a head and shoulders pattern, neckline, breaking below the 200 SMA. All these things are lining up for a potential pullback for NEO stock as well, potentially down to $38.50. That's going to be the level to watch for NEO once again. So the RSI coming down from an overbought level, the MACD coming down as well. So that's going to be the level to watch. And again, it's very normal. You know, I don't know what else to tell you guys, because it's up over 81% in the last like 6 weeks, and now we're seeing a pullback with the broader markets coming down as well. So, you know, we've talked about how stocks can't really go up in a straight line forever. They're going to pull back, they're going to correct, they're going to retest some old resistance levels as new support levels, build out a foundation, and then continue on the move higher and then push up to the next leg up, right? So that's kind of like the nature of just patterns in general, right? All right, let's take a quick look at the 10-year yield. So Tesla we already covered. If you guys want to go back and watch that, I would really appreciate it. And then you can jump over to the live stream. Quick update on SoFi. So SoFi stock also down about 3.46%. So we did have a support at close to $15.98, closer to $16 per share. We did get a bounce off of that level, but then we broke down eventually. We pushed up and got a retest from that old support as a resistance. So the $16 is going to be a resistance moving forward. We're also breaking down from this symmetrical triangle. The next support level to watch for SoFi is actually going to be sitting at 14.32. So that's the level that we're watching very closely for SoFi. Again, that's going to be the level to watch moving forward. So $16 resistance and this $14.30 SoFi support sitting right over here. All right, let's take a look at Palantir. So Palantir down about 2.7%, breaking down below $21. I'll give you guys, so for Palantir, wasn't expecting a breakdown below 21. I thought it had already exhausted a lot of the selling pressure. We were down over 22%. You know, the markets were correcting. I was expecting Palantir to at least validate 21. But right now, pre-market, we are breaking down below $21. So this one I'm going to be watching very closely if the buyers step in to bring us back over 21, or if this starts to act as a new resistance and we're potentially, fortunately, I know you guys are not going to like this, but $17 is going to be the next support level, because that was a level coming in from like, you know, May 11th. I mean, that was a level that we retested and then pushed up. Buyers stepped in and then really had this rally for Palantir up over 60%. So $21, my expectation was for that level to act as a support here. But unfortunately, we are seeing a breakdown with the markets here pre-market. So $17 is going to be the next support level to watch. All right, let's take a quick look at AMD here, Advanced Micro Devices. So AMD coming down as well. $84 is the next level to watch. The RSI, the MACD coming down. So again, we were trading at overbought levels when we had this rally and this bull flag breakout. We were up almost 20% for AMD, trading almost at near all-time highs at $95. The RSI became overbought. The MACD was also aggressively pushing higher. And then since then, we've actually pulled back down about 11% for AMD as well, as Nvidia has pulled back, and SMH, that is the semiconductors ETF has actually also sold off the last 3 days. So this ETF is actually down over 7.8%. This is semiconductors, right? This actually includes all the semiconductor companies. So AMD also coming down with the RSI, and the MACD also broke down below the signal line. So it's no surprises, but $84 is going to be the level to watch, aligned with that 50 EMA and the 200 simple moving average as well, sitting perfectly at $85. So I'll watch $84 very closely for AMD. All right, so let's read this very quickly. I'm actually also reading a white paper right now. It's a pretty long paper right now from Ray Dalio. Highly encourage you guys. Goes over long-term debt cycles and the rise and fall of empires. It goes over the Dutch Empire, the British Empire, and now the United States. Because I've mentioned this before. If you guys have been watching the channel, what is the one risk that is the most concerning to me? Investing in U.S. companies, like investing in the United States in general. What is the one thing that I'm really concerned about the most? If you guys know that, what is that? So let me know in the live chat if you guys can guess what that is. Yeah, so Caesar, we actually went over NEO, so you can just go back a little bit, like just go back 10 minutes, I want to say, and you'll find NEO analysis along with Palantir, Tesla, and a lot of other stocks as well. Too much debt. Sanjeev is on point. Is the debt and the valuation of the dollar. That's the only concern I have over the long term. Yeah, so two things. I mean, debt and devaluing of the dollar is like over the longer term is my concern. My biggest concern with the U.S. is just those two things. As long as the debt kind of stays, I mean, it's not in control. I don't want to say it's like in control, but as long as it stays like at a relative level relative to the GDP, it's okay. But like really, I mean, when it starts to get out of hand is when, man, we really need to start reconsidering, kind of like restructuring how we can do that. So that we don't basically fall victim to the things that happened to the reserve currencies in the past, right? The Dutch and the British, and that's what's highlighted in this paper, and really what's going over, what's exactly happening at the moment. Highly encourage you guys to kind of read this through. And again, he's got plenty of books on this long-term debt cycle. It goes over a lot of different analogies and a lot of different stories in the past as well. And it's all about studying the history, right? It's more of a history lesson than there is more of a financial lesson. So, and I can share this link with our Discord members as well if anybody's interested. All right, so the market's going to be opening up in about 2 minutes. Let's see where we actually open. So Thousand Eyes says to invest in your own country. Yeah, I do invest in my own country too. All right, so what do you guys think? Buyers stepping in at the open, or are we going to continue to see some selling pressure here? Sell off. So little Krishi, I'm actually currently in India right now. So that's where I'm at. We've got some really interesting IPOs coming up, which I may or may not do a video on because it's going to be a little bit challenging to actually invest in because they're listed on the Indian exchange. But we've got some really interesting IPOs. One of them is a fintech company. Another one is very similar, almost identical to DoorDash, that actually is coming on the public markets. So, but that being said, all right, we got about a minute left for the markets to open. So B says, I'm an automotive analyst. Used car prices are decreasing. That's interesting to know because, I mean, I've been reading up stories on used car prices, and just the fact that people are overpaying by tens and thousands of dollars on a used car is just a crazy concept to me. Like, I've never really thought that this was possible for a used car, for them to go over retail price. I've never heard that before. So ADOX, yes, it is time to go shopping. It is time, definitely in my opinion. But I'm just keeping a close eye on the VIX and the VXN and how far up they actually go. before settling back down. So I'm definitely going to be sending a lot of alerts to our Patreon members. So if you're not already part of it, the link is going to be down in the description below if you wish to join, and you'll get all the real-time alerts when I'm actually buying those stocks. All right, so the markets are open. Off we go. SPY is down about 1.23%. We got the Dow Jones down about 1.43%. And we got the QQQ down about 1% here. A lot of alerts going off. So a lot of alerts here. So SPX down about 48 to 88. All right, so there's the first green candle. I can actually switch over to the 5-minute chart here. All right, Vimeo is actually coming down, looks like. All right, let's take a quick look at the VXN. Is it open yet? Not yet. Not yet. All right, we're gonna open up another chart, put up Tesla, put up some of the other stocks here. All right, there we go. Palantir back over $21. That's interesting. I'm actually gonna go ahead. Give me 1 second. I might have to do this after the live stream. It's kind of hard to actually trade and live stream at the same time, so I might actually do it after we end the live stream in a little bit. But yeah, the buyer, I mean, so far it looks okay for the markets to kind of retreat back up with the buyers stepping in. We're going to split this screen 4 ways and put Palantir over here, trading back over $21. We'll put Tesla over here with the buyers stepping in, back up to over 633. And we'll put NEO over here with another stock. Let me know what stock you guys want for the 4th stock to put us down over here. Let's put AMC. See where that's trading. So down about 5%. Low for the day 31.85. Trading pass over $33. Yeah, I mean, I just have to kind of manage Discord as well on the side, Jason. So I might have to do like just wait because it's like too many things going on at the same time. So that's okay. I mean, that's fine. I'll just wait. And all right, so let's take a look at the Nasdaq here. Down about 1%. The seller's coming back, and the SPY is down 1.23 with the Dow down 1.45. So Tesla's high. Take a look at this. $636. Where was that 200 SMA? It was at 637, right? So it looks like we did fill that gap up a little bit higher, and then the sellers kicked in to bring us back down to 628. So there we go. We're seeing some more selling pressure here from Tesla, down about 2.5%. Same with NEO, and same with Palantir, back under $21 per share. The market seems like they're selling off even further. The Nasdaq is down 1.26. Take a look at the SPY, down 1.3 here. Dow 1.37 as well. So almost same exact pattern here, and the Nasdaq. I mean, all 3 indices are pretty much down almost the same. AMC down over 7%. What? It was down over 4% just like a minute ago. Wow. Apple. Let's take a quick look at Apple here. 142.80, down about 2.45%. Yep. Let's take a look at Nvidia here. Nvidia's doing pretty okay. I mean, it's not as bad as some of the other ones. But yeah, let's take a quick glance at the markets here. If there's anything red, there isn't anything. Vertex, there we go. VRTX is up. Vertex Pharmaceutical up over 30 basis points in a market where everything is red. Would you believe that? So yeah, this was a swing trade. This was also a long-term position. I literally put out a video on this. What is it, like over the weekend? Price target over the next 5 years, I want to say like 2025, is at 430, I think it's $429, something like that. I'm not, let me see if I can bring that up very quickly. So yeah, so price target Vertex is at $429. So there we go, we're up a little bit on that, but Nasdaq's still down, of course. And AMC is down over 8% now, with Tesla down over 2.5%, Palantir down 2.89, back under $21. Roblox is down over 2.8. We got Upstart trading at 110. Upstart's got a support at 110. That's going to be the level to watch very closely for Upstart. We got Caterpillar down 2.4. Apple is also down 2.5%. We got Spotify. DraftKings down almost 2%. We got Crocs, Baidu, TSM, Facebook. Amazon down 1.18. So actually Amazon is breaking down below that support of 35.58. So we'll go ahead and turn this level into a resistance for Amazon, and the next support is going to be 34.40 for Amazon moving forward. Look at Nvidia go, almost turning positive here, almost turning green, back up to 724, while the rest of the market struggles. So DraftKings, look at DraftKings also pushing higher. Man, I should be buying a lot of stocks here right now. All right, I'll just do it shortly. All right, so AMC really starting to see that selling pressure, down about 9.5%, just staying above $31 here. What stocks? I'm really gonna be buying some Palantir. I'm gonna be buying some DraftKings. I'm gonna be buying like a lot of like anything that's like down a lot, like from its all-time highs, and that's on my watch list that I've done the fundamental analysis for. But like, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of deals out there right now. All right, so the buyers are stepping in here. So Nasdaq still down 1%, but we're seeing that green candle, so we are catching a bid here a little bit. Dow Jones still down about 1.4, actually more than a lot of other stocks here. So AMC down about almost 10%, still making new low of days. Let's take a look at where NEO is trading. So NEO down about 3.75, still hovering over $41. So KC, I'm not actually deploying all the buying power. I'm kind of buying in increments, and again, all the trades are going to be posted live as soon as I place them over at our Discord. So if you're part of it, you should be able to see them. But again, I'm going to be buying in increments because I do think personally that this sell-off has more room to the downside. So right now, really picking and choosing exactly which stocks I'm going to be buying at what support levels. So really, and for others, I'm just going to be waiting. Like we're going to be doing a lot of fundamental analysis on Enphase. I mean, it's down to 157 again. This is crazy. Like Enphase was at like 185 just a few days ago, or even higher, 195, and it's down over 20% in like 5 days, right? I mean, this is just incredible selling pressure, right? So 150 is the level that I'm watching for Enphase as well. But there's a lot of stocks, there's a lot of companies that are like on our watch list that we're going to be doing fundamental analysis on. We're going to be watching very, very closely for this. But again, the whole idea is to buy in increments and not basically go all in at any point, and really start to dollar cost average at a level where it really makes sense for your cost basis to really come down, right? So it's like buying the dip is great, but don't basically do that at very small increments. So like for example, like if you want Tesla at like let's say 700, don't buy it at 695 or 685. Just wait for 650 or wait for like 600, right? Even lower prices, so that it actually does bring your cost basis substantially down. Instead of buying too frequently at too little spreads, instead just spread them out even further in large increments and large spreads. So AMC seeing a little bit of recovery, but getting rejected at that middle VWAP. NEO really starting to come down about 5% here, and so is Tesla. Let's take a quick look at our EV watch list. So everything is straight up red, even the legacy auto manufacturers, and pretty much everything. So ChargePoint down about 1%, but we got CCIV down over 6%. NEO is the second biggest loser on the day, down about 5.2%. XPeng, Li Auto down about 3 to 4% each, and we got Li Auto, Ride, Lordstown Motors, Nikola, all these stocks coming down. GM, Ford down about 3% each. So yeah, there's a lot of selling pressure here. With Tesla 636, 637 is a level, right? So if you come over to our daily chart, you'll notice that Tesla actually went up to retest our 200 SMA. Alright, so not quite 638, but 637, we tested that level, and then we started coming down once again, right? So down about 2.78%. Look at the S&P here, down about 1.4. Huge red candle, a lot of selling pressure again. So this is a good thing I waited. But we'll be adding some more stocks as soon as I get off the live stream here. We'll be sending out some alerts, but. The Nasdaq down about 1.18, but the S&P really coming down. Quick take a look at the Dow 30 stocks here. Boeing coming down aggressively. Quick look at the Boeing stock. So trading at $209. I mean, this stock has just been getting absolutely hammered over the last like few weeks. I mean, down about 20% from $260, and just solid 3 months ago it was trading at 278. We're down about 25% from those highs. The next support I have for Boeing, unfortunately, is at 191. It's going to be sitting at this level. Previous support here, we validated before pushing higher. We actually broke down below this support, so all these levels are going to start acting as a new resistance for Boeing. But the selling pressure is just too high, too much, too aggressive of a selling pressure for these. Alright, let's take a look at Palantir here on the daily chart. So Palantir just trying to stay above $21, just struggling at that level here. So look at that, the resistance now is $21. We're actually going to go ahead and turn this level at $21 as a resistance. So that is going to be the resistance, $21 for Palantir. Support, like I said, there may be buyers stepping in somewhere here. So like even though the next support technically is at $17 here, but I still expect some buyers to step in between those two levels, because Palantir's valuation is coming down to a ridiculously attractive levels, just about a 39 billion market cap. If you come down even further, it wouldn't be surprising to me if we catch on bids here for Palantir. Let's take a quick look at Walmart, Costco, some of those defensive stocks. Look at that. Walmart is up. Costco is also up, almost 90 basis points. Nextera Energy. Let's take a quick look. It's up again. This stock is 4 for 4 in the last 4 days. I mean, it's up 5.5% when the markets have come down. That's utility sector. That's the utilities. That's the defensive stocks really pushing higher. If you come over to our select sector indices, all right, this is crazy. Take a look at which sector is actually up, which sector is up, and which sector is down. The one that's leading on the day. Two sectors are leading on the day right now. Look at that. It's XLU, utilities, right? And what is one thing that you guys think about utilities right now versus all these other sectors. Since the March 2020 crash, since the pandemic, where it could be like a couple sectors, but what is one thing that you think about the XLU versus all the other sectors here? Why is XLU different in the markets right now? It's because if you take a look at XLU, it's probably one of the only sectors that hasn't recovered from the March 2020 crash, from the pandemic crash. So this right here was February 2020. We dropped over 39%, and we're still haven't recovered. We're still down over 6% from our March 2020 crash, right? So from the March 2020 pandemic drop that we saw in the markets, that's the utility sector for you. So we still haven't recovered from that. All other sectors, you take a look, XLK, right? That's going to be tech, way above our March 2020 crash here. So we're actually up, over 44%. XLB, that's going to be your materials, also up, right? Up almost 30% from our March 2020 pullback. XLV is going to be healthcare, also up. So we're up over 22% from our March 2020 pullback. XLE, that's going to be energy. This might be kind of a tricky one. Yeah, so XLE, I was actually worried about that we're not quite as high as our February 2020 crash. I mean, we were almost horizontally there, like we were literally at that high, and now we're down over 15% once again. But XLF, I believe, is also up. Yep, so from our February 2020 crash, we're up 13%. So utility is really taking charge here. But there we go, the NASDAQ now starting to push higher. The S&P is still down about 1.17 and the Dow is down 1.4, but QQQ tech starting to take off a little bit moving forward, right? So 72 basis points were down. Nvidia, take a look at this, up over 2%. EMC down over 8. We got Tesla down about 2 here, with NEO down over 3.3%. So starting to see a little bit of recovery for NEO as well. Alright, so the yields are down 6%, trading as low as 1.2. The VIX is coming down a little bit, up only 16%. Let's see if you have the VXN now. Alright, so the VXN, Jason, if you're still here, VXN is up over 13%. So we were expecting 22.25, 23 levels. I was expecting it was going to be up over 10%, where it's actually up over 12.39, and we're pushing higher. So yeah, really the VIX and the VXN pushing higher, and we're seeing a pullback intraday for those right now. But Peloton is up over 3.5%, Nvidia is up, and Corsair Gaming, Corsairs and Vertex is also up. 2 of the stocks doing really well. Alright, so let's go over to the live chat here. So can you remove those yellow lines from the IXIC charts? Yeah, alright, yeah, my bad. Everyone who has access to these charts is probably seeing that. Yep, so there we go. Alright, I'm gonna save that. So yeah, if you reload that chart now, it should have access. You should be all set. TradingView has a really cool feature. I love TradingView just because of the features that it has, and just the charts available to sync with other charts as well. It's just great. Wish is green too. Alright, let's take a quick look on Wish. I believe it had a support at close to, well, it had a support at 976. We broke down below that level. That would be the next resistance level to watch for Wish.com. Let's take a look at AMD. So yeah, AMD, I mean, low for the day, 84.24. I should actually be buying some AMD today. But yeah, we're just bouncing off of that level here right now. So $84. Who asked that question? So Dan, yes, you're right. Have we hit a bounce on AMD? We have. We're bouncing off that $84 support on advanced micro devices. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to continue to push higher and we're going to not break down below $84, just because right now the Nasdaq did get a rally here, just like a short rally. We saw the Nasdaq basically surge over 0.5%. But if we do see pullback here, if Nvidia continues to pull back, then we could see AMD also pull back as well. So that's something to keep in mind, because we're just bouncing off those moving averages as well. Right, the SPY is down 1.4% with the Dow down 1.6. I mean, I don't even want to look at how much it's down point-wise for the actual index, right? So if you take a look at here, 570 points it's down, the Dow is. 570 points. This is the actual Dow Jones index. This is the S&P. Down almost 61 points here, over 61 points. And this is the Nasdaq. And if you come over to our relative performance chart, we're almost there. We're almost hitting new all-time highs, right? We're almost there. If you look at the weekly chart for QQQs relative to the S&P, and let's take a look at the Dow Jones as well. So we're gonna go over this one. So you'll notice that we're up 74 basis points for this one, right? The RSI, we got a perfect bounce off of that level, and we're almost at 1.08. Like, we're literally there, 3.3% away for this relative performance chart. Something that we have covered repeatedly on the channel as well, and how we've seen those times of underperformance for the Nasdaq relative to the Dow, relative to the S&P, but eventually this subsides and we see a rally from tech stocks to push higher once again. So we're almost at new all-time highs for this index. Tesla support we've already talked about, but going over that again is going to be sitting roughly at $590. It's going to be interesting for us to see if we actually do see a breakdown down to that low, but that is going to be the next level to watch. EMC unfortunately is still struggling a little bit. Ooh, we had an alert go off, so quick look. Was that for the VIX? There we go. Like, look at the VIX. Look at the VIX here, up over 21%. That means the Nasdaq, the S&P is absolutely getting crushed. The S&P, the Dow are absolutely just getting crushed here. And the Nasdaq now starting to come down even more. Well, it's not still making low of days. It's still pretty much higher than the low of days. But we'll see if it actually cracks down. And look at the support. God, this is so amazing. Look at the Nasdaq. Look at the level that it bounced off of. What level did the Nasdaq bounce off of on the day? 14,200. That's the level that we talked about. Previous resistance, right? Previous resistance literally just bounced off of that level. Do you guys think? Do you guys believe that we're going to see a breakdown below 14.2 for the Nasdaq? What do you guys think? Freddie, don't do that. Don't joke about that either. I mean, it's not. Yeah, don't. So breakdown. That's it. All right, so yeah, there we go. The Nasdaq coming down, 14,200 is a level to watch. And oh man, like look at the selling pressure come in. Like this is just 1.8 for the Dow, 1.6 for the S&P, and we got 1.45 for the Nasdaq. I mean, the broader markets just look really. We're just testing 14,210. That's kind of like the low for the day. Let me just bring up the VIX here. I'm going to split this 4 ways. All right, there we go. And we're going to bring up the VIX. Look at that. VIX is up 23% here. 23%. So Dominic, this is the Nasdaq here. Well, left to right, we got the Dow Jones. If you're wondering what you're watching, this is the Dow Jones. down about 631 points. This is the S&P 500 down about 1.59. This is the NASDAQ, and watching the VIX over here. Keep holding, says VIX, please go to 30. Yeah, I will be buying stocks left and right if you go up to 30 levels for the VIX. But energy sector is down pretty bad here, so let's take a quick look at energy. So Exxon, Chevron. By the way, the reason why it's actually down, I forgot to bring this up. Such an idiot. But this right here, boosting output. So OPEC meeting, we actually talked about it not this past weekend, but the week before that. We talked about how OPEC and its alliances, so OPEC Plus, including Russia and some of the other alliances, are actually thinking about increasing output for oil to keep prices stabilized for gasoline, because that's a big inflationary factor, inflationary commodity. And oil, if you guys know anything about inflation, oil is perhaps one of the most important commodities in the world, right? Oil basically determines a lot where inflation goes. The deal reached over the weekend by OPEC and its allies to increase output or increase monthly supplies by 400,000 barrels a day, reduces the risk of an inflationary oil price spike. West Texas Intermediate, so WTI for August delivery, traded below $70 a barrel this morning. So that's perhaps one of the reasons why we're seeing energy sector really come down substantially, because they finally come to an agreement. Earlier, it was a conflict between UAE and Saudi Arabia, which were on kind of like the base effect, and basically they wanted to increase 400,000 barrels. Or was that the number? So increase monthly supplies by 400,000 barrels. Okay. So yeah, they were trying to increase that by that output substantially. So we finally did it, I believe, based on that meeting. So that's perhaps one of the reasons why oil prices are contracting a little bit, because of an increased supply in the markets. But yeah, I mean, let's take a look at some of the recovery stocks here, recovery plays, or SPY holdings in general. Dan, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed these live streams, and I hope to do them for a long time. So take a look at the airlines and the cruise lines. Absolutely getting wrecked here. Carnival down 6.3, American Airlines down 6.4, Norwegian's down 6.5, Royal Caribbean down 6.27. Boeing down almost 5%, MGM, Square, like Southwest. I'm actually gonna start buying, you guys, I'm not gonna lie, because this pullback cannot go unnoticed. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna be live for like another 5-10 minutes, and I'm just gonna spend some time with our Discord members over at our Discord, and just answer any questions, and of course send out all the alerts. But yeah, NASDAQ 14,195 is the low for the day. We're almost there. We're literally just trading at the low for the day here. Getting a little bit of a buyer stepping back for the S&P and the Dow here, and the NASDAQ down about 1.5%, just up over 14,200, with the VIX up over 23%. So quick take a look on the other stocks here. So AMC down over 10%, just hovering over $31. Tesla still down over 2.5%, and got NEO down over 4.6. Nvidia coming down, AMD coming down as well a little bit. It's Nvidia and Peloton. I mean, it's surprising. I mean, you'd think Nvidia, to like on a day like today, would basically just pull back and sell off, but it's like it's just crazy that it's up. It's up over 1.3%, back over 736. I just want to take a look at the markets on a more broader level here for the S&P. So we're just over that 50 EMA, right? So 50 EMA, we're bouncing off of that level for both the NASDAQ and the S&P. I can't believe we literally talked about it in the beginning of this live stream. For the NASDAQ to bounce off that 14,200, and for the S&P to retest the 50 EMA. So we're like 42.46 is the low for the day. Well, the low for this 50 EMA, we're down 3.5%. But yeah, that's the support level. This is what we validated several times in the past, right? So we've just been bouncing off that level perfectly, and we're just going to be watching that level very closely as well right now. But again, you guys, if you guys want real-time updates on the alerts, because I know that a lot of people are asking, but when I will be placing those trades, I will be sending out alerts to our Discord members. So again, if you guys want to check out the Patreon link, shameless plug, I know, but if you want to get those alerts, it's going to be down in the description. But what other stocks are we going to be looking at? Let me know if there's any stocks you want me to look into. I'm going to do some technical analysis on that very quickly before we kind of end the live stream here. And then jump over to our Discord. Alright, Bitcoin. We haven't really gone over Bitcoin and other prices here. So let me just go over that. So crypto analysis. So SoFi we went over, Tesla we went over. So Tesla, SoFi, you guys can go back and check out the analysis there. Yeah, so we'll go over TSM, we'll go over silver. That's a good one. Silver we haven't analyzed in a while, but let's take a quick look at Bitcoin here. So down about 3.5%, just over 30,000. So let me see who asked about Bitcoin. So all right, so for Bitcoin, 30,000 is going to be the support level that we validated. We briefly breached that level, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, so like on June 22nd. But that's going to be the most important support level, and of course 42,000 is the resistance. We're continuing to trade below the moving averages. We saw a death cross here for Bitcoin as well, the 50 SMA crossing below the 200 SMA. So is there more downside? I don't know, but if there is, 20,000 is going to unfortunately be the next support level to watch for Bitcoin. Oh man, look at the markets here. VIX is up over 26%. The Nasdaq breaking down below 14,002. The S&P down 1.77, and we got the Dow down over 700 points. Oof. 700 points, down over 2%. We don't hit a circuit breaker until we get to, I believe, as high as 5%. Let me Google that very quickly. Alright, so circuit breakers halt trading on the nation's stock market exchanges. Your dramatic drops are set at 7, 13, and 20%. So 7%. I want to say we're too far off from those levels, and we're probably not going to see one. But never say never in the markets. Anything can happen. Everything goes. So the VIX up over 27% now. I feel like the Dow has no floor. What is the support for the Dow? Broke down below the 50 EMA. We may find some support here for the Dow Jones. So that's going to be the level to watch. I mean, 33,700, 33,699. You know, previous support here, so we validated perfectly several days. We just hovered over that level. But yeah, it's just the selling pressure is pretty aggressive today. I mean, yeah, there's just the Dow just keeps falling pretty aggressively, with the VIX up 28% now, and the Nasdaq coming down 1.6. Alright, AMC's down over 10.7, AMD down, NEO's down over 5%, Tesla down over 3.2. Let's take a look at Apple here. Apple is down almost 3%, trading as low as 142. So, or Bazili, I'm really sorry if I mispronounced your name. But yes, I do expect the S&P to go down a few more times. Like we talked about it, you know, over the last like week and a half, and how the markets are weakening, and there's breadth behind the markets, not as strong as what we've seen in the past. So So we're just hovering over the 50 EMA here. I've got my alert set up right underneath that level to see if we actually breach it and actually trade below this level, right? So we actually talked about this and how most of the stocks are actually leaving this gap, right? So this is the gap that we actually left. Pretty substantial gap, right? So in the past, what's happened is when we gap down, the buyers step in to fill this gap, and then we continue on this rally. But today we're actually seeing breakdowns and continuation on these charts. So that's been pretty aggressive. Like most of these 5-minute candles have been red since the open. Let's take a look at Coinbase here. So Coinbase now trading below $217. So that's going to be acting as a new resistance now for the stock. Well, so Delif says you look happy and radiant with the market going down. It's because it's a buying opportunity. It's because we're ready to buy. I mean, Delif, I think you're part of our Discord, right? We've been talking about it for weeks. To raise more capital, rebalance, and trim your positions so that when the dip comes, which is here, when the correction comes, we're going to be ready to start hunting for deals. And it's funny because the stock market is the only discount where people don't line up to start buying. It's the only place, and it's funny because it's the only marketplace where people are excited to pay more, right? So that's what we want to change from a psychological level, that it's better when stocks come down, right? We have to get more comfortable with the uncertainty, with the uncomfortable market, and it's just getting more excited when you get to buy these stocks at a discount. Like I've got a whole buy list here, and look at all these companies coming down 4.5%, 4.3%, 3%. Like Square, I wanted to get this at like at $200. If it comes down, I'll be buying. Autodesk, right? Adobe is a great stock to actually buy and hold, in my opinion, for the long term. CrowdStrike down about 1.75. CrowdStrike has just been rallying. It's all the way to highs of 269. So, when it comes down, these are opportunities to get in, right? Etsy, same story. Etsy, in my opinion, is severely undervalued, right? It's coming down from its highs. It's down about 12.9, 13%. So, yeah, I mean, these are opportunities to get in, and if you were at 155, that's a good 33% jump here. All right, so quick update on the markets, seeing a bit of a recovery here. All right, guys, so I'm actually going to end the live stream here. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm going to be sending out all the alerts out to our members of our Patreon. If you're not already part of it, check out the link down in the description below. And the question really is, where nobody knows where the bottom is, and we're not going to know where the bottom is. So this exact same thing happened when we were seeing a correction here over 12%. Same thing exact happened here when we were down over 9%. We were buying across these dips. So if you continue to see that pullback, always remember, buy at support levels. In my opinion, it's always wise to buy at support levels regardless of what the market is doing, right? If you come down to 13,600, buy in increments and spread yourself out further, right? So again, there has to be a shopping list. If you haven't really watched that video, by the way, let me just pull that up very quickly. I'm going to go over that because I literally put this video out, I want to say like 4 or 5 days ago. So if you go over the videos, all right, so this right here is the video that I put out. This one right here, we talked about it 3 days ago, right? Prepare for the next market correction, right? What to do. Goes over 6 to 7 steps that you can take to prepare for the next correction. 3 days ago, I put this video out when we were seeing the first signs of a pullback and or a correction. Definitely, highly encourage you guys to watch that. And again, it's how you prepare for a pullback based on those 6 and 7 steps. So thank you so much for joining in, you guys. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Discord. Feel free to reach out in the comment section. I'll try to get back as soon as possible. But again, make sure that you check out all the links down in the description below. Most definitely the Patreon link if you want to get those alerts in real time. We're about to go do some buying right now. So thank you so much for joining in, and I will see you guys in the next live stream. Peace out.